Keep this hand. Kind of just want to play a Triome here. Have I considered a Proteus Staff for extra polys? If I'm only playing 7, but if I wanted extra polymorphs, I would play. There's just a red polymorph too. That's just 4 mana polymorph. All right, now I just need to find a polymorph. I might minus this turn, assuming this resolves. I might minus this turn looking for a polymorph. Although I think I'd rather minus on Omen of the Sea. But the reason to minus this turn is we can plus the next turn and instant speed polymorph the Dwarven Mine token. Also protects from like Wrenn and 6. Like we probably don't have to force Wrenn and 6 this turn if we plus. I splashed green to my blue-white Sharkblade for Uro and Veil, and Uro alone has won me games. I mean, I think the reality is like Bant's Uro control is just better than blue-white Stoneblade. You know what I mean? As much as it pains me to say that. I'll let the first bolt resolve. But I will force the second one. Are there better options in Temur as well as opposed to Jeskai, Growth Spiral, Veil, maybe Uro? I mean, yes, you get other cards. Oh wow, we drew the creativity. Yes, you get other cards. However, the problem is, it seems very tough on the mana base to splash the 4th color, and maybe it's not as bad as I think because you do get the Temur Triome. But also splashing your 2-drop, splashing Growth Spiral does have, it's kind of a double splash, right? Because every land in the deck is a mountain, right? Every single land in this deck is a mountain for Dwarven Mine, and so having a blue-green card on turn 2 seems pretty tough to me. And I don't think that you want to play them. Any reason to not play Transmogrify Polymorph Split? So creativity is better than both of them because you can overwhelm 1 removal spell by targeting 2 tokens. You can also theoretically target your opponent's permanents, but I think that Polymorph is better than Transmogrify because it's a blue card for Force of Negation. Which is what Mr. Pfister and I discussed when we were talking about this list last week. GG. And one really nice thing about this deck is it's kind of a 1-card combo. I mean, the combo is Dwarven Mine plus this, but Dwarven Mine is just so free in this deck, and you have effectively like 13 copies of Dwarven Mine that it really is just this card is just 4 mana put in Emrakul into play with this deck construction almost every single time. Opponent trying to figure out their outs here, I guess. Trying to figure out what they can do. They decide they don't have outs. Okay. So we're playing as 4-color control. Why aren't I playing Shark Typhoon? There's a few different reasons. I think you could be playing Shark Typhoon. For sure. But Dwarven Mine is I don't think you need extra token generators is one thing. Where you just have so many copies of Dwarven Mine, it's just not hard to get a token. And so if that's the case, if it's just not that hard to get a token, I don't think that you need more token generators like Shark Typhoon. And Typhoon, like just cycling can be a bit awkward when you're trying to find maybe specific cards in a deck like this. But also, we're still pretty early into the testing process, and Typhoon is a really good card, so could be better to play it. Let's play like 2 polymorphs. Maybe we should find a room for a third. Yeah, I think we could play like 3 polymorphs. I like polymorph because it's a blue card for Force in this matchup specifically. I'm not playing Luca. I think Luca being 5 mana means like you'd rather be on these cards. I used to like Luca over Creativity back when Astrolabe was legal, because Astrolabe I think tied the mana together pretty well. And Luca being, Luca kind of can overwhelm removal spells sometimes, but I think I like the Nahiri plan a bit more, Maybe I was supposed to trim 1 Emrakul, actually. And maybe the Sand is a mulligan. I think it's okay. Immediately draw a Emrakul. I do like that we can just get a Triome, and then, like, these are just Dwarven Mines that can attack our opponent. Yeah, it's hard to play Through the Breach when you only play 2 Emrakuls. But I did rent the blue-red Through the Breach deck in case this goes poorly. Plating tokens don't always have hexproof, right? They only have hexproof for 1 turn, so you need like 6 mana. Maybe I was supposed to gust that. I don't think so. Is Quicken something to consider instead of Teferi to get down to 2 colors? No, I don't think so. The curve of Teferi into Polymorph is so good, but Teferi also pulls double duty because it stops your opponent from being able to spot remove your token in response to the Polymorph. How often can you ult Nahiri for Emrakul? Every single time you can plus it twice and then -8. I'm not going to play around Veil, I think. They already have Breeding Pool in play, so actually I don't even think they can cast Veil off of those Strand. It's also not that hard to splash in this blue-red deck. It's not that hard to splash either white or green because of the Triome, but it seems hard to splash both. In my opinion, do you think Astrolabe has made a good replacement for Astrolabe to 3-4 color mana bases possible? I do agree that they make 3-4 color mana bases possible, or at least better. I don't know if I would consider them to be a replacement for Astrolabe. That would mostly just be like semantics. Kind of weird. Cage stops Polymorph, but stops it does stop Creativity, I believe, right? But Creativity can just target the cage, which is another reason why it's good. Well, it stinks. Creativity is worded like living it. Oh, I guess that's just another reason why it's great. Okay, we've successful. Oh, I should have made a dwarf token here to pressure the Teferi a bit. It's a bit of a misstep. See if my opponent has much follow-up, or if we get to throw Emrakul at them. They have a way to... Yeah, if they could put another land into play... Oh, gross. Gross, gross, gross. Well, we can't even if we draw Polymorph, we can't throw Emrakul at them. Yeah, probably just have to go to game 3. I mean, I'll take a couple draws. We could just like draw Polymorph and see. They don't necessarily have the answer to Emrakul, right? Gust. Okay, let's go to game 3. Kind of, now that they've seen Nahiri, I'm kind of more into the creativities again. Maybe we also have too many Aether Gusts. This looks pretty good to me. I think we can keep this. Why couldn't we Emrakul them with it? Emrakul them with what? Nahiri is a -8, and Nahiri was also Aether Gusted. I guess we could have remanded the Gust, but we still couldn't have Emrakul them. Good morning, Bad. How was Footfall Crater? It felt okay. Still kind of early into the testing process. Okay, it's an Emrakul. I'm going to play Mountain. This way if my opponent plays Teferi Time Raveler, I could Omen of the Sea into Mystical Dispute. No Teferi yet. Probably not just jamming next turn. We'll see what we find. I see Timu's blue-red control list from the challenge. Is it different than what Timu has been playing? I think I'm going to bottom both of these. Maybe I'll keep Force. Nah. Maybe I should have kept the craters. I don't know. Hasting just doesn't seem that good here. Yeah. Well, next turn we can Creativity 2 Dwarf tokens. We can also sec Omen to Scribe, but we can Creativity 2 Dwarf tokens, and maybe if they just have a removal spell, we win. Yeah, I played some of the cube. Not a big fan. We can also find a Dispute, maybe, off of Omen. Get a Ridden 6 my Dwarf. Good morning, JK. Yeah, if we find Dispute off of Omen, I think we have a really good chance of comboing. I'll keep it Omen. And I'll use Creativity over Polymorph here because of Mystical Dispute. Not that this is super likely to work, but it's just where we're at this game. I think maybe they don't have anything. Looks like they have like Aether Gust. That's my guess. Mana Leap. Okay. At least we get to keep the Dwarf, and we have another Polymorph. They only have 3 cards in their hand. In a tight sideboard, if I only had room for Dispute or Veil of Summer, what am I playing? Well, it depends on the deck. Depends on what else I need to have answers for. This answers Emrakul, which stinks. Although if we draw Footfall Craters, we do get to Emrakul them. Oh yeah, they can just cast Dispute for 3 in that spot, of course. Yeah, no way we can just, you know, Teferi can -3 on Emrakul, so we can't really go for it here. I'll keep an Awakening, just refresh my whole hand. Maybe I'll keep Polymorph. I don't know, I don't think that we're going to be able to pull out here. I think that this is going to be too much to beat. The fact that my opponent is pausing here, I just kind of want to scoop. Any reason to make a Dwarf end of turn? Not really. I'll take like one more draw step. Just because Crashing Footfalls, or yeah, could or not Crashing Footfalls, Footfall Craters, if our opponent has nothing, could let us win. I'll take one more draw step. Do you have a plan on what to do if we lose all the dwarves without getting an Emrakul out on them? Concede probably. We also have 1 timely reinforcements in the main deck, but I think that you can, you know, you can play to where you'll at least get to try to polymorph some dwarf tokens before that, and if they answer all of them, you can lose. How spicy would Boggles be in the sideboard for removal heavy decks, or am I lost in the sauce? I don't know how you could possibly... So, like, one thing is Slippery Boggle doesn't work with Polymorph, because if you have Slippery Boggles in your deck, that's what you're going to Polymorph into. but also, and then how you can't have like boggles and enchantments in the sideboard and have like a completely different sideboard plan. All right, scooping was the line.
Welcome, Spikelings, to the Shark Typhoon.
SNES, thank you for your Twitch Prime subscription. Hope you're having a good day today. Appreciate you. I think I got like 31st in the challenge, and then I wasn't able to play any tournament on Sunday because my PC was having a lot of problems. So I spent most of Sunday fixing that. I mean, for the sideboard plan, going into a Blue Moon or Kiki combo deck would be interesting. I don't feel like that's possible to sideboard into... I don't know. Like, we already have the Nahiri transformative sideboard, but sideboarding... Like, Blue Moon is not possible. You can't play Blood Moon in this deck. Opponent looks like they have Metallic Rebuke up. I think I do want to get a Footfall Craters into play. Have I been trying to get one of the new graphic cards yet? No, not really. I don't really play too many PC games besides MTGO. Like I play some, like I have some Dark Souls. I play Dark Souls from time to time on my PC, but beyond that, I don't really have the need for a new graphics card. Is there an enchantment from Ixalan that makes hexproof Merfolk tokens? I think it's 3 mana, and then you have to, like... It's an interesting idea. Progenitus as a sideboard threat. Maybe, I did think about having different targets post-board. Like, the can't even card... Yeah, working on your own stuff always does feel bad, I agree. Or often feels bad, I should say. Opponent is tanking in my upkeep here. Yeah, my opponent's tapped out. I'm just gonna put an Emrakul into play. I know it doesn't have haste, but... Seemed like it was probably going to be good enough. So my opponent seems to be playing some kind of Emry Urza deck. Talesyn is usually pretty good against the Emry Urza piles. Can play like 2 Talesyn, 2 Dispute, 1 Bolt. I don't think we want Nahiri. Maybe we played 2 Force of Negation, 2 Bolts. Though Nahiri does exile a decent amount of their stuff. Maybe Nahiri is good. They just usually don't play that much removal. Let's maybe bring in Nahiri for game 3 if they have a ton of removal. Yeah, Aquatic Incursion being 4 mana, I just don't think is where you want to be. If it was 3 mana, it would be a consideration. If there's any 3 mana token generator that makes a hexproof token, I'm interested, but you know, it is also nice that Dwarven Mine is a 0 mana token that a fetch land gets. Spike, where I was the one that working on the Jeskai Bloodsun deck, yeah, that's my brew. I've been playing a ton of it lately. Oh yeah, I do like Kiora Best to See God. I have it in my EDH deck. Is White Omen crazy in this deck? I wouldn't play White Omen over Shark Typhoon, but really, like, I don't think this deck needs more token generators because you have like 13 Dwarven Mines in the deck effectively. That getting a token into play is not really a constraint. I think we keep this on the draw. We can cycle Craters. Smell Queller 9 months in a row. Sub baby is born. Hell yeah. 9 months really has flown by. This whole year has flown by. Cloud Form is not too bad. I don't know. I really just don't think like what the main thing I like about this deck is you don't have to play 3 mana token generators. You don't have to play 2 mana token generators. You just play Dwarven Mine, and you have zero. You have like a ton of 0 mana tokens, which is why I think this deck is even bottom the 4th remand, draw the bottom the 3rd remand, draw the 4th one. It's kind of funny. Do you need to draw an untapped land? My opponent's been pausing at really weird times. Opt can maybe find us the land. Alright, not ideal, but if this can find us a land, we're in okay shape. Cool. I was also, I was thinking a lot about Goryo's Vengeance yesterday, and the tokens are going to be tough to beat, but if we put Emrakul into play, we can maybe beat them. I was trying to figure out how to Goryo's Vengeance Sharome effectively, because I thought it was kind of cool that you could Goblin Engineer and put Sharome in your graveyard, and then Goryo's Vengeance it, and there's like a lot of interesting artifacts you can get back in... and that you can also Goblin Engineer for or mill over with Emry. And then I was kind of thinking about maybe you could play Altar of the Brood and then Sharome Legend Rule a bunch of times and get infinite Altar of the Brood triggers and mill your opponent is a possible thing. I didn't end up getting a list together, but it's just another brew I've been thinking about. Yeah, Sharome... I don't think I really even had much of a list together. Let's see if I don't even know if I saved it, but it's spelled I think it's 2 U's. I'm not sure. Yeah, Sharome the Hegemon. It's a legendary artifact creature. So what's nice is you want to find a good legendary artifact creature to Goryo's Vengeance, because you can entomb it with Goblin Engineer, and then Goryo's Vengeance and back is kind of interesting. And Sharome is a 6 mana 5/5. When it enters, you return an artifact from your graveyard to play. We just bottomed Emrakul. We have not been drawing very well this game. I think I'm just going to jam Teferi. My opponent does get to make 3 Thopters, but I think I'll just bounce there. Thopter Foundry and constrict their mana. Blightsteel is not a legendary creature, and if you Goblin Engineer Blightsteel, it gets shuffled. Is that not, I feel like I said Sharome. I don't know. This has never been a pronunciation stream and never will be. Never will be. Did my Goryo's Vengeance deck include my format breaking innovation Tails End? No, but it's kind of interesting. Interesting that they... What the hell? What? They could have had just a Thopter in play. Maybe they misclicked there. I know they wanted to fizzle the draw. And instead of attacking my Teferi, they have just Galvanic Blasted it, which is also strange. My opponent may have a counterspell here. So I think I'll cycle this, see if we find a land. I've been really struggling to find lands this game. Still struggling. I was playing Sharome. I have no concern for my mispronunciation at all. Maybe Bolas the Citadel. Yeah, that's an interesting target. I agree. I agree with that. So I think instead of going for Dwarven Mine this turn, we're supposed to probably play Teferi, and they did not counter it. So let's just plus, and then this way we can polymorph next turn. Unless they have another Galvanic Blast, the Teferi should still survive. How did I become a better deck brewer? Well, I spend my entire life thinking about Magic, is probably the main thing. They have Cavern of Souls on Artificer? It's pretty good. Now they have Infinite Thopters. I could have disputed, though, if they didn't have exactly Cavern of Souls, which is such a tilt. They did bring in Galvanic Blast. and so we could consider playing Nahiri on the play. And they're playing Goblin Engineer, so I'm also kind of interested in playing Lightning Bolts. So we do something like this. Just cycle the craters. Or we could play like a couple creativity. We could play like 4 creativity, 4 Nahiri, no polymorph. Kind of interested in that. Seems okay to me. You know, I spend a ton of time brewing. It's like just actually my full-time job right now. So I would definitely say, you know, just like any skill, the more time you spend on it, the better you're going to get at it. But I also do most of my brewing off stream. You know, today is an exception, but I do most of my brewing off stream, and so when I am playing a brew, it often like looks better because I've already been testing it. But usually I do my testing off stream, and I will also say that instead of we've been drawing pretty poorly. To like we have played 2 Emrakuls, we London mulligan one to the bottom and immediately draw the other. I think that happened, or something. We had something similar happen last game. Why no Rest in Peace? Rest in Peace is not good. You just get to Emrakul the graveyard deck, so I don't think you need to play Rest in Peace. But I'll also say, sorry, back to get my other thought, and I'll address that in a second. You know, I think that in order for a brew to be successful, usually in my experience, the formula is have a good idea that does something better in the Magic in the Modern format or whatever format you're brewing in. Man, I'm drawing so bad. Have a good idea that does something particularly well that people aren't doing, or is, you know, attacking the format from a unique angle, rather than just build around a card you like. It was the 3rd and 4th Remand last time. Okay, so I don't think we're supposed to pitch Force on Sword of the Meek, although I would have hard cast if I had hit my land. Urza would be pretty tough, but we have game against a lot of other things here. Like we can bolt Goblin Engineer. When I test, I use a Smurf account, right? No, I don't. I use my account. Yeah. I don't really care. Too lazy, I guess. Am I gonna jam the Nahiri into the 2 open mana? I'd prefer not to. But yeah, but back to like why no Rest in Peace. You know, I really do disagree from like the philosophy. I am playing a white deck. I need to have Graveyard Hate. I will play Rest in Peace. I am playing a blue-white deck. I need to have answers for creatures. I will play Supreme Verdict. Like, this deck I think is pretty good against Dredge because you just put an Emrakul into play and kill him. And I don't think that you would need to have Rest in Peace because of that. Let's wait on the Nahiri. Come on, this is so tilting. This freaking Cavern of Souls on Artificer. They don't have the Urza. But just like last game, the Cavern looks so good. It looks good again. I'm sure they would have jammed Urza if they had it. Not going to counter the second Sword of the Meek. Would love to get into a fight over this Omen. I can't. Honestly, I'm having a hard time imagining them not having a counterspell here, though. I don't think if they had a word, they would have cast the Sword of the Meek there. Maybe they would have. That's a good draw. Yeah, they only have 1 blue mana, so we can remand the Dispute here. And then we can bounce the Omen immediately and have outs to have double Force of Negation up. Seems okay. Oh, sorry, they have the Chromatic Star. Oops. Although it's also like they had Dispute here. We could have maybe just jammed Nahiri if that was the read. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't forget about the star. So one more mana does let us Nahiri with Force Up, but I think I'll just jam a Nahiri here because we drew the second copy. And they had Rebuke as well, it seems. Yeah, not gonna play this one out, I think, until I draw another untapped land. They have 3 cards in their hand. Really hoping they don't find an Urza. Although maybe Urza's beatable. The Dwarven Mine beatdown plan is also pretty fun. I haven't actually looked at this art before. It's actually pretty good. Dwarf in the tunnel. Everyone's thinking about doing something, maybe sacking their Pyrite Spellbomb. Although their Pyrite Spellbomb stops the Polymorph, but of course, we've cited out most of our Polymorphs, or more than half of them. Just naturally drawing all the mines. Okay, we can pay for Dispute or Rebuke, and seems like maybe they don't have one. Loot away Emrakul. Draw another Emrakul. Cool. Maybe we're supposed to go down to 1 Emrakul when we play Nahiri. So certainly possible. Maybe even likely. I'm gonna pitch Force here. That way we could pay for either Dispute or Rebuke, and we really don't want this to resolve. I think this makes sense to pitch Force here. We can also sack the Omen with the mana. They have 1 card left in their hand. They're not sacking the Pyrite Spellbomb to draw. Although maybe they will post-combat. Yeah, they decide to draw. They draw something, a spell, which is another Goblin Engineer, but we have a Lightning Bolt. But I'll wait to bolt until I can pay for a Rebuke. They put an Ensnaring Bridge in the graveyard. Smart. I'll keep both of these. Play Teferi first. Loot into the Force, which I guess I can't cast unless I draw a blue card off Teferi. I would have hard-casted Force and lost to any counterspell. Yeah. It makes sense for them to have another one of these. Bounce a sword. Did find a blue card, which is a pretty good blue card too. The dwarves keep going to work as well, getting our opponent to a pretty relevant 14 life. Five mana, scry 2, draw 2. It's not too bad. Alright. Dude, ultimating the hero to win the game. Hell yeah. Very exciting. Alright. Great hand. I'm just gonna go 5. The best, yeah, it's a good 5-card hand. I'm gonna put back Sacred Foundry Lightning Bolt and hope to be able to go Teferi into Creativity. Okay. Against Mono Green Tron, see how good they do have answers to Emrakul. And the bolt came back. Might bolt them. I guess I might probably save it for a Karn. Do get to bounce the map. Hopefully we draw a different yeah. Hopefully we at least can make sure we can Dwarven Mine next turn. Which we can. So now we can instant speed Emrakul, assuming they can't deal with the Teferi next turn. And instant speed Emrakul should beat most things. They do have Tron anyway, so Karn is bad. Wormcoil doesn't do very much. Oblivion Stone is tough if they leave up the activation, which doesn't seem super likely. Okay, so no Karn this turn. The Karn the Great Creator could also be bad, actually. Weird for them to play the map before cracking the sphere. Thragtusk, that's fine. So I'm gonna play this so they may not know exactly what's happening here. We can let the Teferi die, which doesn't play very well around Dismember, but does play around Oblivion Stone or Karn. Or Ulamog if they have Tower Ulamog. Thanks, Mock. Glad that you're in the chat today. Glad you're liking the YouTube. Nice, Ugin. Cool game. Glad we were on to play. End of your turn, put an Emrakul into play. Then we just attack them, right? This Ugin doesn't do very much. They're sacking the Ugin. Fair enough. Opponent's still playing Magic. Hoping I forget to attack with Emrakul next turn. You really like the Newman Lotus Field deck? What's the Newman Lotus Field deck? Or is that a typo? Just the new Lotus Field deck. I like it too. I think it's really good. Just autocorrect. Weird. Kind of figured. Yeah, I think that's been certainly one of my coolest creations. Well, am I gonna play like? I guess I just played like Nahiri over Lightning Bolts. Well, the Bolt is kind of good against Karn the Great Creator. Maybe I'll leave in one Bolt and play two Nahiri. Neither are very good. I'm gonna use the restroom. I'll be right back. This hand is really, really good in this matchup. I will force a turn 1 map pitching Omen. Grafdigger's Cage, I guess that's also something we need to force. Hopefully they don't have a second. Although I will say creativity, if I had creativity beats Cage, so I wouldn't have force, but my hand is Polymorph. Sanctum of Ugin. Ah, immediately draw the creativity. It's kind of funny. I guess it seems like they certainly kept their hand on the strength of turn 1 Grafdigger's Cage. Although the O Stone is good too. Could maybe wait till we can creativity and blow up the stone. Or we could just polymorph, make them spend their turn stoning, and then we can just polymorph again. Alright, let's see if we find Force of Negation. I will force Oblivion Stone. Didn't find Force of Negation. We did find Tail's End. I'll also keep the Tarn as an extra Dwarven Mine. And so now if we... They may wait to sack the O Stone until we attack and we just Tails End the trigger. Pretty cool. Like, I don't think they're going to main phase it. Unless they suspect Tail's End. Be pretty sweet to do this. They also might not have a 5th land. Okay, they do have an expedition map which can find them power plant, which gives them exactly enough to stone. But are they going to main phase it? Yes! Yes! So exciting. Oh man. Play around Tails End gang. At least when you're playing against me. I mean, it makes sense if they're playing around like through the breach, right? They want to wait on the O Stone. I think it makes sense to not. I don't think it's greedy by them. I'm gonna keep this. That still doesn't play around through the breach. That's true. That's true. Yeah. Got a deck tech to do. So I kind of feel like this version of Inverter that's really in on the combo, in my opinion, these versions would just be better as ad nauseum. And the Inverter is better built as a control deck that has the Inverter combo, kind of like the Pioneer version. People have tried to play this kind of all-in Inverter combo deck in Modern in the past, and the ad nauseum lists ad nauseum, but I think ad nauseum is just better. At the very least, the first copy of ad nauseum is good, I think, to tutor for with Wishclaw Talisman. If you have Angel's Grace and Wishclaw and only one piece of the combo. Oh wow. I think we have to keep Omen and hope to draw an untapped white source. Obviously, it's not the end of the world if we miss. Cycle. But I think that if you want to build it this way, you have a really good version built. I think that you should build a more controlling version or play ad nauseum instead, in my opinion. Shelldog Isle is interesting too, yeah. Forgot about that one. Do I do deck text for standard? I guess, yeah. Like, I probably am not the best person to ask about standard, but I did get into it recently. Alright, definitely gonna force this. I played it for the PT, and I didn't think my list was very good, but I've got some knowledge. Oh no! If we draw Emrakul, okay. Whew. That
Welcome,
so awkward.
to the Shark Typhoon.
That was the reason to not cycle. And now they have to kill us. We're at 9. We're dead to 2. No, we're not dead to 2 1-mana burn spells because we can block Swift Spear. Atomic Fruit Fly, 6 Bloods in a row. We're dead to Boros Charm burn spell or 3 1-mana burn spells. Looks like they have it. Kind of stinks. Looks like they also top deck the land for the charm, yeah. Xaxes. I do think this is a matchup where we're going to cut all of the creativities, the polymorph, the second Emrakul, all the creativities, all the polymorph. Bring in the Nahiris, bring in the Gusts, the Purges, down on Remand. Kind of down to play Anger too. And then they're going to have removal spells regardless, but now we're just not a polymorph deck against the Lightning Bolt deck. I think we just still leave these into cycle. It's a cantrip that doesn't trigger Eidolon. Very good. Why didn't I bring in Gust against Tron? I sometimes like to have 1 or 2 copies against Tron, but I felt like Nahiri and the first Volt were better than Gust in that matchup. We're also on the draw game too, and Gust is much worse on the draw against Tron than on the play. On the play, it's like way easier to snag a green spell. Why keep 1 Emrakul for Nahiri? Nahiri is pretty good with 1 Emrakul. And that's the idea, is Nahiri is good against these red removal spell decks, and you just throw Emrakul at them. And you already have the Emrakul in your deck, so it kind of makes a little more sense with the transformative sideboard plan. But Nahiri throws Emrakuls at people. Very flavorful. On the play. Kind of a weak hand with no blue mana. Can cycle Crater. I'm going to keep this on the play, I think. Goblin Guide. Revealing Celestial Purge. I guess we'll hold that up this turn. Is switching from trying to treat out Emrakul to trying to treat out Emrakul a transportive sideboard plan? Yes, because the Polymorph plan is really bad against the card Lightning Bolt, whereas this plan isn't. Blue source. Alright, we'll take it. Are there any other creatures you've considered? Yeah, I mean, Void Winnower is one I was thinking about, but it doesn't stop ad nauseum, which is kind of tough. You can also play Iona. I think I'm just going to Nahiri the Eidolon. The Helix Me might just be dead. They suspend another Rift Bolt. Why Polymorph forward Transmogrify? To be a blue card to pitch to Force of Negation. I think we just remand the 2-mana white card. We're 2-1 in this league, and we O2'd our first league. O2 dropped. So not great. Opponent's hand is Lightning Helix, mystery card. Not dead to the Helix yet, at least. They haven't cast it yet. I'll just discard the second Nahiri. Play another blue source. And we probably just let Helix resolve. We could gust it. It's bad if their last card is another burn spell, though. Yeah, I think I'm just going to hold the gust. If their last card is another burn spell, they can draw a blank this turn. Then we can gust their last burn spell. And now we have Remand up too, so we have, you know, a second counter spell up. I'm gonna discard Opt. And we get to throw, assuming we survive, which is not a foregone conclusion, but assuming we survive, we do get to throw Emrakul at them, and hopefully that stops them from being able to assemble land plus burn spell. And it seems like their hand is both bricks. They've drawn a canyon. We'll see them sack it now, I suppose. Hopefully we don't draw the Emrakul. I cited out one of the 2 Emrakuls. So let's not sack the cycle a crater to like reduce the chance that we draw Emrakul. Which feels like all that really matters here. Again, Remand Deflecting Palm. Searing Blaze. So the Nahiri plan, nice against this. Sack your board. Now they're not going to scoop to Emmy when I'm at 1, but we've got game here. Like we just have, you know, the dwarf beatdown plan. I forgot this went to the hand. I guess we can't really Omen and just die to lightning bolts. Although we're pretty cold to bolt anyways. Nice, really good draw. Okay, maybe just leave. Maybe we're supposed to leave the dwarves back since we're gonna probably win with this first, and this way we can kind of ignore a goblin guide. We can also draw lightning bolts though, like we can draw 2 bolts. Kind of interesting. Bottom. I think we need to bottom. We're really choked on blue mana. Although I guess I could dig for more bolts. Cool. Forces. I guess Force doesn't give us another counterspell actually. But Lightning Bolt kills them if they fetch and or shock. They have 1 card. If it's a 1 mana burn spell, we lose. Very exciting. Cool. Oh wait, oh yeah. So they have Helix. I forgot we knew about Helix as their last card. Close game. Close game. If you bolt Lightning Dwarf, they still get to the Searing Blaze has 2 targets, so it still kills us. Mulligan. We'll keep this hand. I think we'll put back the Fun Raveler. Could put back Force. Back the Fun Raveler on the draw. Yeah, it does fizzle Searing Blood. Mm-hmm. So hopefully Anger's fast enough here. Goblin Guide being kind to us. Thank you, Goblin Guide. Yeah, I'll just play my Steam Vents tap, discard a fetch land. Hopefully they play... I guess we're not... I mean, another Eidolon would be tough. Going down to 12. We're going down to 10 when we cast the Anger. 9 when we fetch. 7 if they play another Eidolon. But, I mean, Anger is the best possible here for sure. Burn is kind of making a comeback. I don't really get it exactly why. It's you know, seeing a resurgence, but it kind of feels like an old friend seeing an old friend. Going down to 5. They have a Rift Bolt suspended. Goblin Guide has been super, super nice, though. Very generous guide. So I think I'm going to hard cast Force of Negation on the Rift Bolts. Who has 2 cards in their hand. Did Burn stop playing Luris? I guess so, although it really doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like super free. Bolt me. Bolt me. Stinks. Yeah, Burn might be good against red-black. Could be Jeskai, Lotus Field. Could be Oops Soul Spells. Could be Belcher. Could be... Timu's deck. Looks like Belcher or Oops. Hopefully Belcher, I suppose, with this hand. And I guess just our deck in general. It might have been better to alternate cast Force. I mean, the only way that... I guess like we could maybe Omen into something there. I don't know, I felt the way we played was fine. Yeah, our hand is just pretty good in general, I guess. Yeah, I agree that we'll have a hard time losing to Belcher. Basically always let Ironcrag Feet resolve. Stops them from getting to Pact. Yeah, I think I like playing Teferi this turn. This way, if they play Belcher, we just get to bounce it. And it does turn off Pact of Negation. Maybe our deck could... Maybe we could play Delay. What if we play Delay in this deck because we're a 4 of Teferi Time Raveler deck? I know the Thief likes Delay a lot. Did lose if our opponent's hand was exactly 3 Simian Spirit Guides. Kind of funny. Could also just win this game off the Dwarf Beatdown plan. I'm kind of into trying Delay next league. Sounds good to me. Haven't found a polymorph deck, or sorry, a polymorph yet. The delay plan seems somewhat incompatible with Nahiri's sideboard plan. I don't really see why. It's not like we're trimming the Teferis in those matchups. I don't really see why that's a nombo. Like, the Thief just likes delay in control decks, you know? Lightning Bolt is interesting in the main. So I guess we'll remand this, because it kind of seems like our opponent has a Pact if they're going to bolt the Teferi like that. Need to find some more permission, maybe, or another Teferi. We can creativity away the Belcher, actually, if they packed our force here. Is it worth to try to counter Ironcrag to beta Pact? I don't think so. I think like them Ironcrag feeding is just good for you. I don't think you need to get too greedy. We probably beat 8 goblins. Gonna not, yeah, we even have dwarves for goblins. I don't think we need to counter that Manamorphose. We know our opponent's hand is Belcher, probably Pact of Negation, and 2 unknowns. Oh wait, if we creativity, then they just get another Belcher. Yeah. But we can Valakut Awakening into either Force Blue card or Footfall Crater. So I think I'll keep the creativity. Oh, it's possible we can put one back instead, or should put one back. And now they're just dead to lightning bolts. Yeah, Teferi works. We have a lot of outs to survive here. Oh, that's one of them. A lightning bolt, Teferi, all of these got us out of the spot. And I suppose we play around another lightning bolt, or a like the Spikefield Hazard. This way, if they have one removal spell, we still get an Emrakul. We're not main decking Tail's End, but Tail's End would stop. This is game 1. Tail's End would stop him, yeah. Is there tinge between choosing between Mana Leak versus Remand versus Delay? Well, I'm already playing 4 Remand, 2 Mana Leak, and I think that like Delay is just better than Mana Leak in this deck, or mostly better than. Actually, Delay seems just great because, like, in this deck where you're just trying to kill him, even without Teferi, Delay is super nice to be able to just like say, hey, I'm going to kill you before your spell comes back down. Actually, I really think this is a great Delay deck. We'll try with Delay next league. What these blue cards? Yeah, Delay seems very, very good to me. I think I like trimming a Polymorph or a creativity. I want to keep Polymorph because it's a blue card for Force. Teo the Shield Mage makes tokens hexproof. Teo's actually pretty interesting. Teo might be better than Nahiri. I'm mulligan this on the draw. Teo could be better than Nahiri. It's an interesting idea. I think that's like the spot we played in. Opponent most to 4. Teo seems okay against the red decks. I really wish it made an 0-4 token instead of an 0-3. Delay plus Nyx is a good way to 2... Yeah, or delay plus Tails End is a good way to 2-for-1 yourself. Which we're always looking for that, right? Yeah, I know Teo the Shield Mage. I know what you're talking about. I think it's interesting. Like, but the thing is, I think that... So against decks with lots of removal spells... we're bringing in Nahiri and then like kind of blanking their removal spells a bit is the idea at least. And so I think Teo is doing like a similar thing and trying to blank removal spells post board. I don't think you're supposed to main deck Teo. So I think we could play it in the sideboard in like 3 copies and not play any Nahiri. I'm gonna bottom the Remand, although maybe it was good to keep. Opponent only has 3 cards in their hands. I feel like Teferi is actually kind of good to play here. They can kill us with this line, but I like that we can instant speed Polymorph and hold up Mana Leak next turn, and this also can beat like Pact of Negation maybe. And if they just play Belcher and pass, we can bounce it. Teo gives us hexproof, not the tokens. All right, let's read Teo. Let's read Teo. Because maybe I misremembered. Do you have hexproof? Yeah, the token doesn't even have it.